Hello Autobots and Decepticons, my name is Soulmongry and today I'm bringing you some Transformers War for Cybertron, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. I got the Game Informer and I want to talk about Fall of Cybertron. So I'm going to give you guys a kind of brief summary on the Game Informer article, and this is going to be basically a summary. I'm not going to go too in depth. I think I'm going to make a couple of videos about this article because it is a pretty long article, and in the future videos I want to talk more in depth about the characters and the weapons that are in Fall of Cybertron. So I'm going to start out with this video. I'm going to break it down into a couple different sections. I'm going to start with campaign. I'm going to go into weapon system. I'm going to go into appearance. I'm going to go into movement, and I'm going to also hit on multiplayer a little bit as well. So starting off with the campaign, everybody knows how awesome the last campaign was. I had a great time with it. I love playing with friends. The one thing I wanted to mention right away off the bat is there will be no co-op. So that was kind of a downer for me. But then I started hearing about the new system they were making and everything like that, and I got pretty excited. And also there will be a link in this description of this video showing you guys a video that was on the Transformers Hub that is a very good video to watch, and I definitely recommend everybody to listen to the video, and it talks about all the improvements and the thoughts in going into the campaign. They go ahead and say right away that they want to touch on everybody. They want this campaign to be for everybody, not only the Transformers fan. So they made a rich, character-driven storyline, sharpened gameplay with dynamic action. And now, dynamic action, for those of you guys that don't know, dynamic is basically just changing depending on what happens. So for instance, an example that was given in the article is when Cliff Jumper is cloaked, enemies will react to him differently as if he was uncloaked fighting, or if he were to be just seen in the first place and not be cloaked. They would react three different ways, so they'd be dynamically changing. And also in the last Transformers game, the AI really didn't keep up with the Transformers as much, and this is going to be better because they're going to be able to keep up with the Transformers, because as you guys know, speed in Transformers is huge, and you can just transform and take off just like that, and the computer needs to be able to keep up with you. So the AI system has been totally rewritten for this to be better, and that makes for an awesome campaign, and I'm super excited for that. So at least you're going to have some good AI people to play with, or I guess they're not people, but good computer AI to play with through the campaign to replace your buddies. I know it's not as fun as playing with friends, but it sounds really cool. And the campaign starts off in the final days of Cybertron, and it kind of leaves off exactly where the end of the War for Cybertron ended, but this is kind of like the third part. You had the Autobots part before, you had the Decepticon part before, and now you're going to hear the Cybertron part. So you're going to be playing with the Autobots, and then in the middle of the campaign I believe you're going to be going to the Decepticon side, and then after that you will be on the Autobots again to finish off the campaign. And then I mentioned the dynamic action in the game. This will provide different experiences throughout the game, so even if you play the campaign a couple different times, depending on the actions that you take will dictate how the game plays out. So that'll kind of be cool, because then if you play the campaign a couple times through, you'll get new experiences each time, and the enemies are going to be more varied this time around instead of the same kind of enemies over and over. Alright, I'm going to touch on the characters a little bit and the variety that I was talking about in the game. You will play as different characters throughout the campaign. One is Optimus. He has the ability to call in artillery strikes. So if you guys played like Modern Warfare, it's kind of just like calling in an airstrike. And Cliff Jumper, I mentioned earlier, he's got the stealth camo. So you'll be more like the scout in that, and then you can turn invisible and you can kind of sneak around. And then Jazz, he has a grappling hook. Now that's very interesting to me because that kind of brings back the day where you could climb in Transformers 2 to me on buildings, because the grappling hook is going to allow you to go in different areas and different places. So that I'm really looking forward to with Jazz. And then Vortex, he is a Decepticon helicopter, and he can use a helicopter assault, and he also can form Bruticus, which a lot of you guys are very excited for, and I myself am as well, with his 4 brothers. And then, which I mentioned a couple months back, the Dinobots are in this game, and I'm so happy about that. And it's Grimlock, and he's got a sword and a shield, and once he like gets enough rage going on the battlefield, he transforms into this T-Rex and then just I'm guessing just destroys like everything. And so that's cool. I'm also kind of interested to see what else they do with the other Dinobots. Mainly Swoop. I like Swoop a lot. I'm kind of interested to see how he works on the battlefield since he is a flying transformer. And then also they did mention the Insecticons are going to be in there. I don't believe they're playable, but that's also very cool that the Insecticons are in there. Don't quote me on that they're not playable or not, because I'm not sure about that. And also Metroplex will be in this game too, which is basically a city that transforms into a huge giant robot, and he's said to be way bigger than Omega Supreme, so that should be pretty cool to see. And I know I'm probably missing some of this stuff, you guys. I'm trying to base this off of memory, and this is kind of a brief summary, so feel free to leave a comment on stuff I missed, stuff I left out that you guys thought were important. I want to hear all different aspects, different angles from you guys about this. Alright, next thing I'm going to talk about is the weapon system. The weapon system sounds a lot different to me. Well, the basic setup is pretty much the same as I'm used to, and you guys are used to. You get your primary weapon, you get your secondary weapon, you get a piece of equipment on defense, and you get a piece of equipment for offense as well, and then you get your grenades. And then there will also be only one ability. I don't know if this really goes into the weapon system part, but you will get one ability instead of like the two abilities in the last one. For instance, you could have, like with the scientist, you could have Drain and Shockwave. Instead, you're going to get just one ability, and you're just going to be focused on that one ability, and I believe that ability can be upgraded different ways throughout the game. And you will also get 3 major upgrades for the weapons, plus a 4th once you get those 3 major upgrades complete. And the upgrades affect damage, clip size, and other things. They're very significant upgrades. They're not like +2 on accuracy, +2 on damage. These things are gonna cause a lot of damage when upgraded differently. You know, they're gonna, if you upgrade them, I shouldn't say differently, but when you upgrade them, there will be a significant difference in that weapon's capabilities versus like your basic system in a video game where you can put like attributes on your weapons. And then that's kind of cool because once you find kind of the weapon you like on the battlefield, you can kind of focus your game around that and really focus on upgrading that weapon to the max. Alright, the movement in this game, the camera angle is panned in closer to the character, so that's going to make for a more intense close-up battle. So that should be pretty cool. You're not going to be able to see as much around you with this, but I think that's better in a way because you're more focused and it's going to be way more intense battles. And then each character will have a sprint and a quick dash maneuver, so they'll be able to react quicker, and it will provide for more fast-paced gameplay, I believe, and that will make them even more agile. One new thing that they are adding in that sounds very interesting to me, and I believe this could possibly be an evolution in third-person gaming, is the ability to switch what side your character is on. So right now, in the current Transformers War for Cybertron, your character is on the left side shooting with his right hand. In this next game, you will be able to move your character on the fly over to the right side, switch what hand your gun is in, and start shooting with your other hand. So if you're on the right side, you will be shooting with your left hand, and if you're on the left side, you'll be shooting with your right hand. And this is going to be very interesting because you're going to be able to shoot behind cover in different spots that normally you wouldn't be able to. I mean, if you can only sometimes shoot behind cover on this one side, on the right side, now you can possibly shoot out from the left side. So this provides a very, very cool aspect to this game, and it might be a huge difference in how battles are fought and how evasive you can be on the battlefield. So that's something very interesting. And another thing with your character, you're going to have a regenerating health meter, so you're not going to have to go find cubes. And this part, I am not too sure about for at least the multiplayer aspects, because I don't like when people just sit in one spot and just camp. I like it when you do a lot of damage and then you kind of got to go find your own health or get repaired by somebody. And it also takes away from the scientist repairing ability, so I'm not sure if there'll be a repair guy on the battlefield anymore, and I really liked repairing people. I love that team aspect where you would help out your teammates like that. Alright, the appearance in the game, is more vibrant background, and the characters will stand out more with that, which is good because then you can't just sit off in a distance and snipe and not be able to see the guy. You can at least see where he is. You should be able to see the characters. You should be able to differentiate them from the background, so that's cool. And they also had artists research metals and materials so that they kind of know how the metal surfaces look, and they made them more distinct, different surfaces, so that's really cool. And then, like, for an example of appearance, the capital city of Iacon is now in ruins in this game, and when you go to the city for your campaign mission, it's going to be covered with soot and ash, and it's going to be snowing down around you, so that'll make for a pretty cool scene right there. They mentioned other scenes, but I don't want to spend too much time on the appearance. And then the last thing I do want to talk about a little bit is a multiplayer. I'm not too sure. I believe there will be escalation, and I know there will be online play again, and I'm hoping escalation. They did mention in the article escalation, but I wasn't too sure on how they mentioned that, but it sounded like escalation was going to be in the game. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, or correct me if you know. Let me know about that. And I kind of touched on characters throughout this commentary, but the multiplayer is going to be changed a lot, and this scared me a lot at first, but then I watched this video that I have in the description, and I kind of felt better about myself and felt better of the game. I was really nervous hearing all these changes that were coming into the game, but one of the big changes is there's huge customization. So you can have 4 distinct character types, and each of those 4 distinct character types can have 6 unique body parts from head to feet. Now that's pretty crazy, and I don't know why, but the first thing I thought about was I want Grimlock's feet on Jazz's legs, on Optimus's body, and Unicron's head. And I just started laughing. I'm like, that's just, I don't know, that's a crazy, weird Transformer, and he would probably just tip over on his head because his head would be so heavy. But I thought that was kind of funny that I thought about that the first time. And let me know what you guys think about when you first heard that. Let me know, like, what crazy Transformer customization you guys thought about. But I think that's kind of cool. I mean, you can spend time customizing your Transformer, and you could probably spend hours on that if you really wanted to now. So I mean, that's something very interesting, and you're always going to see unique Transformers on the battlefield. When you're fighting somebody, you're going to be like, oh man, that guy's got a cool customization, I'm going to try that out. Or maybe some people will be like, hey dude, how did you customize your guy like that? You know, just cool things like that. And it'll just lead to a more lasting gameplay, I feel, for a lot of players. And each of these parts are different affecting, so I mean, they're not just different looking parts. They affect speed, they affect shielding, they affect vehicle armor, they affect ability regeneration. So I mean, these parts do something, which is very cool. And then to get these parts, obviously you have to unlock them as you level up through the multiplayer. And you can also customize color as well. And then the one thing that I was very intrigued about was you can customize voice. And I'm just kind of wondering how many different voices you're going to have, or if that's going to be able to like download different voices, because that'd be pretty cool to download some crazy voices. I don't know, you know, that'd be sweet to have like Orson Welles Unicron in there and other voices like that. It would be awesome. And so there's 3 characters in each of the 4 classes, so you can have customized your 3 character spots in each of the 4 classes. So I know this was a very kind of brief overview, and I know I probably missed a lot, and I want to do a couple videos, and I want to go more in depth on the weapons. I didn't talk about the weapons at all, and there's a whole bunch of information about weapons out there, about the new weapons they have, and they are crazy weapons. They are like weapons from Ratchet and Clank. They are like nothing you've ever seen before. They're not your typical weapons, so I do want to dedicate a video to that as well. And I also want to talk about the characters more in depth. So expect those 2 videos coming your way, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys my thoughts on the new Game Informer article, and I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts too. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Remember to leave a comment, let me know your thoughts, leave a rating, and subscribe for more Transformers. Have a great day, guys.